Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the second video in the Phantom JavaScript, Casper JavaScript. And I want to give you an example here. I have a website that I'm looking to automate some stuff on. And here's the website. What I do is I put a song title in here, and what I need to do is we're going to go ahead and just do a song called Stubborn Love by Lumineer. So when I type that in, it pulls in a bunch of results, but what I'm looking for is specifically the Lumineer Stubborn Love. So I need to grab this album link. So what I need to do is I need to click it, and then I need to click the large button, and then I need to capture all of this text. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how we can automate all that using Phantom JavaScript. So first things first, let's go into our integrated development environment and start a new file. In my case, it's JavaScript. Okay, so first things first is when you're dealing with Casper, we need to go ahead and create our Casper object. So it's variable, just like this regular JavaScript. So variable Casper equals require. Hold on a second, my dog is making a bunch of noise. Sorry about that, I had to let the dogs out. Alright, so inside of the parentheses you have Casper and then .create. So you're creating a Casper JavaScript object. Now in order for us to be able to use XPath expressions that are created in Casper for us, then we need to actually create a variable that we're going to reference all of our XPaths with. So we're going to create a variable X for XPath equals require Casper in parentheses again, and then this time select XPath with camel casing. Okay, once we do that, let's go ahead and create our user agent. Sometimes websites will reject or display things differently if you don't have a user agent. So in this case, we're creating a user agent of Mozilla, so it's going to look like we're a Mozilla browser, which essentially we are a Mozilla browser, but it disguises it so it looks like a regular user. And then this is some standard stuff that you have to put in here for the user agent. So we don't really have to get into what all of this stuff means, just copy it and that'll be your user agent. Now this is where we request the actual web page that we're going to be going to. So I'm going to do Casper start, and then in the parentheses, that's where we're going to put our link. So there's the link that we're grabbing. Now everything in using Casper and JavaScript, it's object-oriented programming, so they have set objects that we do to take step by step. So to reference an object, we create a function basically. So let's do Casper then our function. So everything we do is going to be inside of these functions here. And we're going to say this, which represents the actual page that we're on. Send keys. And this is where we need to figure out, okay, how do we send a key to this website? So what you want to do is you want to right click on the text box that you're trying to enter text into, and just go ahead and inspect the element. And I'm just going to go ahead and right click on the element that is highlighted using Google Chrome and click copy XPath. And actually, you know what, we're not going to do XPath this time. That's one way of identifying if you want to, but since we're actually doing send keys, it's a different function within Casper JavaScript. So we want to grab the ID. Since it has a unique ID that we can grab, it'll know exactly what we're looking for here. It'll grab this text box. So just go ahead and grab that ID, and then inside send keys, we're going to copy that ID. Now, since it's an ID, you need to reference before the actual term. You're going to want to use a pound sign, which signifies ID, If it were a class, you would do a dot, but since it's an ID, we're going to do a pound sign. And inside this parenthesis after the ID name, we're going to go ahead and put a comma, space. And this is where we're going to do our search term. So the search term that we had listed before is stubborn love. And then let's go ahead and do another comma. Actually, I'm sorry, we're just going to go ahead and close this statement off. So another parenthesis to close this statement off. And you end the statement with a semicolon, and then we close off our function. Now, in order for when the program runs so that we know what it's doing, let's go ahead and display something to the screen so that we know that it's not hung up. And to do that, you just say console.log, and then in parentheses, again, you write whatever it is that you want it to say. So we'll just say searching iTunes. All right, now after we've done that, let's go ahead and run the program. But before we can do that, we have to give it one final method call, which is called casper.run, open and close parentheses. And that will actually run the program when we launch it. So let's go ahead and save this file. I'm actually saving it under our music directory as the name ourtest.javascript or .js. And let's go ahead and open up a command prompt. And I'm going to go ahead and head over to where my file is located, which is in my projects directory in music. You're just going to want to go wherever you have yours located. And to run it, what we're going to do is type CasperJS.bat. And if you don't have this installed properly, the video before this, I explained how to install Casper and put it on your, and add it to your environment variable so Windows knows how to handle it. But we're going to do CasperJS.bat and then the name of the file that we just created, so ourtest.js. Now when it runs, literally behind the scenes, it is actually pulling up a browser, it's searching, it's locating the text box, and it's entering the text into the text box. So you're probably asking how all that happens, or even how do you even know that that's happening since it doesn't actually show me anything. What a cool feature that Casper adds to this is something called a capture. We can actually capture the image of the current state of events. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say casper.capture, and then I'm going to name the actual image that I'm capturing. So I'll say our image.png and close that off. And okay, and now let's go ahead and run the program again. All right, worked exactly the same. I'm going to pull up a Windows Explorer. I'm going to go into where I have the file saved, because it's actually going to save the image, the screenshot, which is what capture does. It takes a screenshot and it's going to save it to wherever directory the program is located. So in my case, it was projects and then music. And in here, you'll see that we have our image. And we put that in there. You can see that it actually put in the text. It didn't hit submit or search or anything like that, but you see that the text that we wanted to put in is put in. So let's go ahead and move on with our program. The next method call that we're going to create, and really these are methods, functions, somewhat the same thing here. And I'm going to go ahead and I want to click the search button so it'll actually do a search. So let's do Casper. We're going to say then click. And click is the C is capitalized. So now this is where the XPath is going to come into play. The XPath variable that we created up at the top. We're saying Casper.then click, and then we're going to say X and then another open parenthesis. And in this next open parenthesis, that's where we're actually going to put the XPath. But then after that, we're going to put a comma and then function. So we're actually starting another function upon the click element. So This time we'll say console.log. We'll say searching iTunes. And the console log that we created earlier is a little bit misleading because we said searching iTunes when really it wasn't actually searching at that point. So we should say just entering data, because that's really all it did. So we'll say entering data, and the next function will say searching iTunes. Now we need to give it an XPath so it knows where to go. And we also need to close off this function. So in order to get the XPath, you just pull up the web page, you right click on the element, and then if you're using Google, you have this Google Web Developer thing, which is very handy. Just right click on the selected element and then just say copy XPath. And now we can just paste our XPath right into that. And what we're essentially doing is just saying, hey, find that XPath and click it. And if you notice here, we actually have two functions that we're invoking. So we need to close that off. See, here's the first one and then the second one. So we have the then click, and then we also have the console.log. Actually, I take that back. I'm wrong. We only have one. My bad. I was looking at that. We only have one. All right, so let's go ahead and this time we'll take our image after we hit the enter button. Now I'm going to show you something here. Now I'm going to show you a gotcha when using something like this. And let's go ahead and run the program so I can explain what I'm talking about. Okay, so it's saying it's not finding our XPath. Let's make sure we have the right element. Oh, you know what? I grabbed the wrong thing. What we're looking for is the actual search button. I did a right click and grab the XPath of the text box, but what we want to do is grab the XPath of the search button so that we can click it. So that was just a case of grabbing the wrong XPath. So let's put the right one in there. Alright, so let's try to run it one more time. Alright, we're going to know that it's undefined. Undefined is not a function, and it has a problem with our XPath. So when we look at this, let me see what's wrong here. Okay, it's actually this. XPath, the P is also capitalized, which tends to move away from camel casing, because really, I'm not sure why the X and the P are capitalized, but that is the way it needs to be. So let's run that again. It's actually slightly improper for the casing to be like that, but anyway, that's built into Casper, so go ahead and just make sure you do it that way. That is going to catch a lot of people, I'm sure. Alright, so now our image, let's take a look at it. And the gotcha that I was talking about is that you'll see that it says loading, and the previous image didn't say loading. So this literally caught the image right after we clicked, so it didn't even give the Ajax enough time to go and request that data and display it back. So what we need to do is we need to add a wait feature. Anytime you're doing Ajax intensive things, or even page loads and stuff like that, you need to account for that. So what we're going to do is, before we take our image, everything's fine as far as where we click the button, but we're going to add another function here where we're telling Casper to wait. So we're going to say Casper.wait, and we're going to say 5,000, which 5,000 milliseconds equals 1 second, or really 5 seconds. I'm sorry, 1,000 milliseconds per second. So 5,000 is 5 seconds. And this fires a new function. It's going to be a Casper. Let's just, inside of this this wait function, it's going to wait 5 seconds. And then let's go ahead and then capture the image. Casper.capture, and then we're going to do our image.png. Alright, let's go ahead and run this. All right, and you notice the pause now, it's waiting for the 5 seconds that we had declared. So now that that's done, let's go back in here and look at our image. And now you can see it has all of the data that has been pulled back. So that's pretty cool. And you can see the song that I need though is still up here. So we're still in the early stages of being able to extract the data that we need. So let's go ahead and move on to the next feature. The next feature is that we need to be able to locate the right band, number one, and the right album. So it's not even the first artist that pulls up, so that can be very problematic. So you really need to add a lot more logic in here so that we're grabbing the right stuff. So let's go ahead and figure out how we're going to do that. So you can see that obviously the artist that we want is the Lumineers, and really there's only one anchor link after the Lumineers appears within the DOM tree, meaning the HTML structure. So in order to be able to get that, we can identify an XPath to say, hey, find the Lumineers, and then find the next anchor, because we know that that is what we want to click on. So in order to do that with XPaths, let's go ahead and within our wait function, let's get rid of the Casper capturing the image, and we're going to do Casper.click, and let's do another XPath. So let's leave that blank for right there, and then go ahead and do since it's a click method, you don't actually have to add anything onto it. It's strictly just going to click the XPath. So now we need to figure out, okay, what is the XPath going to be that will grab the Lumineers? So there are several ways you can accomplish this, but the best way to do it is strictly just doing // and then a star, which means that the text can exist in any sort of div element. It doesn't matter if it's a span, a paragraph, anchor, it doesn't matter, whatever. That's what the star signifies. And the double / means that it doesn't have to start at the top of the DOM tree. It doesn't have to start at the HTML or the head tag and work its way down. It can literally find that and jump right to the middle of the document and find any tag that matches what we're about to match. So what we're about to match is we need to put a open square tag, and then I'm going to say text, which means simply what it means, text, equals, and then this is where in double quotes we're going to put the text that we're looking for. And the reason why the text and doing it this way is the best way, because you can also do contains, but the thing about contains is not going to be able to handle spaces very well. And in my case, I'm dealing with an artist that has a space in their name, the space Lumineers. So contains isn't going to find what I'm looking for. So I'm better off just sticking with text equals, so the space Lumineers, and I close that off. And after the double quote, we're going to close off our square bracket and then say /. And in XPath language, we're then going to say following : A. And then that is our statement. Now we need another parenthesis marker here because we have two open parentheses on this left end. So that's simply it. So we're saying Casper click the text that equals the Lumineers, the anchor. Well, essentially we're saying Casper find the XPath, the Lumineers, then it's following anchor tag, which is going to be the link that we're trying to click on, and we're saying click it. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and do another wait function, and we'll just copy this entire part here, paste that in here, and let's close it off now before we forget it. And let's go ahead and do a Casper.capture. Once again, our image.png. That way we know whether or not it got clicked. So now let's go ahead and run our program again. And you can troubleshoot any way that you want. Like in my case, I'm doing 5 seconds. Maybe 5 seconds is overkill. Maybe 1 second is enough. Maybe 2, maybe 3. I don't know. It's going to be up to you. But in this case, I just want to make sure that it is there. So it might be a little overkill, but bottom line is it should work. All right, so let's go back and view our image of the screenshot after we entered the data and then clicked on that XPath, and you can see that it actually grabbed the right artist, the Lumineers, and there's the link and all is good. So we gave it time to load and it's there. Now let's move on to the next step of the program, where once this thing is selected, let's go ahead and see the next thing. Now this is going to be easy because this particular pop-up modal is going to be the same no matter what artist we're dealing with. So we know we want to click the large button, so really all we got to do is right click on that and let Google do the work for us, and we're going to right click on the element and then copy the XPath. So let's go ahead and we're going to do the same thing. We'll get rid of our capture statement and just do click. We'll do X, open parentheses, and then we'll place our XPath inside of there, close it off, and that's simply it. That's so we're clicking that element. Now the next thing we're going to do is we really need to do another wait statement. So let's go ahead and copy this because we want to make sure it gives it time. And really we probably don't even need, probably overkilled it. You know what? Inside of this same wait statement, let's go ahead and not even create another function. You can really just, since nothing is loading, actually, I take that back. That would make us screw this up. So let's go ahead and just wait another 5 seconds. It's not gonna be that bad. It's not the end of the world. We'll click the element. After we click the element, we do need to wait just a second so that it registers, because if you notice here, when we click the element, there is a slight load there. It loads a little bit of text, so we have to get at least a second or two. So let's wait. In this case, we'll wait 2,000 milliseconds, and we'll fire another function. I'm going to close off the function so we don't forget. Now this time, we're going to create a variable that I want to print to the screen. So the variable that I'm looking for is this embed text that is returned here. I need all this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a variable, and I'll call it the text I want equals, and then this is where we're going to say Casper like we've done before, but this is a new method that we're calling. It's called fetch text, so it's made directly for that, and we can feed it an XPath. So just like we've done before, we'll feed it an XPath, and now to figure out what that XPath is going to be, once again Google can do the work for us. We can right click on this, inspect the element, right click on the text area to copy the XPath, and place the XPath right inside of our item here. And let's go ahead and console.log the text variable that we just created. So this is going to be the full working program that I'm going to do on this video, and let's go ahead and see if it works. So you see the idea behind printing the processes as it goes through, so that way if it ever gets hung up, you're not like, what is it doing? You know, because sometimes, depending on a website's traffic, things might get hung up here. So we do have a reference area. Can't find variable text. Oh yeah, duh. The name of our variable, for some reason I thought we named it text. It's called the text I want. Duh. My fault. Alright, so now that we have the right variable that we're printing to the screen, let's run it one more time. And there it is. That's the exact data that we're looking for. So we can write other programs. I mean, this could be outputted to like a text file. It could even fire off another program or another script with that text. So the possibilities are endless as far as automation and testing and things are concerned. I don't endorse scraping any particular site or anything like that. So this is just strictly a how-to tutorial on how you can automate testing for a particular task. So please subscribe, rate, positive, and thank you for watching. Bye.